Hi guys, and welcome back. Happy Friday, and I hope you guys are doing absolutely fabulous. I am so good, so okay. It has been a hectic week, been to the hospital, been back. I just had few issues, but now I'm as healthy as an elephant, if you get what I mean. So first thing first, the male gender, of course they're the only ones who would be complaining, have been complaining that they felt left out in the last video. So I understand that, and I'm actually really glad that I have friends, male friends, who are willing to tell me that, hey, if you're doing something to do with makeup, we feel excluded. And that's exactly what I want for my channel, and I thought that makes a lot of sense. So I was thinking that because there's already a lot of makeup stuff on the internet, I have been to the YouTube university, and that's where I got a lot of tips of what I do today. So if I was ever to do a tutorial, I was just thinking that I would do something for the ladies, and even if it will be story time, it will be mostly about girl stuff and women stuff, and what, like, we girls, things like, and then I would at the same time upload something of a story time that includes everybody. So I think that's what I will be doing. So anytime you see that there's a makeup video, please do go to my channel and do check out for the story time, because I will be uploading those hand in hand. So now let's get into the story of today. Now, I'm already in Finland, I've already started school, and things are going absolutely well. But then there's this one thing that is definitely disturbing me, and that was money. Now, don't get me wrong, I had money. And for those who have a big misconception that most foreigners come here to get Kela, I'm sorry. Everybody who comes here as a foreigner, regardless of which continent they come from, even from Africa, before we arrived in Finland, we actually had to prove that we had in our own bank account. That means a bank account, not our parents' bank account, but our own bank account. We had to prove that we had above 7,000 euros. That was during the time I came, because there was no tuition fee, but then you had to cater for your own needs. Now the system has totally changed, and every person who comes to Finland from another continent other than Europe has to pay for their education, as well as their accommodation and whatever they need. So when I came here, of course I did have money, and as I said before, I had been sponsored, so I did have money. So no, I wasn't coming here for the Kela. And for those who are wondering what Kela is, it's like a social security system where they offer people money. For example, students get a certain amount of money for the government, you get a certain amount of money as parents to a child, and blah blah blah. That's a story for another day. So yeah, so let's first put that misconception away. Not every foreigner who comes in Finland actually comes here to get Kela money or the Finnish money or whatever. Before we arrive here, we actually have to prove that we are financially stable. And that was, in my case, I had to prove, and I did have money in my account. But then you have to remember that my dad had just passed away, and my mom wasn't releasing any money. And I know some of you wondered, like, why would I be waiting for my own stepmother to be paying for my fees? I mean, I have my mom, I know, and that is true. But you have to remember that some of the accounts that my mom would have accessed were my dad's. And immediately he died, those accounts were frozen. And till to date, we have not been able to access any amount of money from those accounts. Secondly, immediately my father died, my stepmother took over the company. So now she was in control of every single coin that was going into either the company account or my father's account. And definitely she doesn't like us. We kind of don't like her. So of course she is not gonna use the money to help us, and that's why we are still in court to this day. Not that now we need the money, but clearly it's only fair. So anyway, moving on. So having known that my mom would have to put a lot of effort to pay for my university fees. I kind of felt like that was gonna be really unfair. So money was always on my mind, and I was so sure I really wanted a job. So immediately I arrived here, I think I rested maybe for 2 weeks, and after that I was on the get-go trying to get a job. Now, picture this: you're in a foreign country and their first language is a language you do not speak, you have never heard of. Like, there is no communication there. And I'm not meaning that Finnish people don't speak English, they do, but just know that they are in school, their official language is Finnish. That means Finnish is their language of trade, Finnish is their language even in school. Children are taught in English, in Finnish, sorry. And therefore, even if you are going to work in a company, you need to have a certain level of Finnish language. So I'm new, I didn't study Finnish. There are no schools actually teaching Finnish in Kenya, so there's no way I could have pre-studied before coming here. So I don't have any language, or I had no language level in Finnish, and I definitely needed a job. So what other jobs are going to be there? I know you would be like, if you are in the US, you could work in Starbucks or McDonald's or some restaurant or whatever. But you're forgetting, in all those jobs, you really have to, number one, communicate with your customer, communicate with the bosses. Like, there cannot be a miscommunication. And that left me with one option. And that was me working with the broom, working with the mob. So that meant the only job I could do was cleaning. Yeah. So think about it. You're coming from Kenya. I know everybody thinks that we are poor. I assure you, we are not. Don't always believe what you see in CNN. But you have a career, you're a lawyer, you had a job, you are doing, maybe to most people they would say I was doing quite fine. You come to a foreign land and the only job now you can do is cleaning. That is where I say, like, life literally humbles you. I was humbled, you guys, I was humbled, but I was ready. Starting a new life meant that it didn't matter what job I got. I had to do what I had to do to survive. I had to do what I had to do to make sure that I was independent and not asking for money from my mom or from my relatives. I just wanted to be like one less problem for my mom. And therefore, when I got the cleaning job, I will tell you the truth, I remember very well, I knelt, I cried, I prayed. It was as if I had just landed a judging job somewhere in a high court or something. Like, it was that epic. Now, most of you will be like, how stupid could you be? You leave this prestigious degree, come to a foreign land to clean people's toilets, to clean people's floors. I'll tell you this and I'll tell you this again. And I'm not ashamed, and I'm very proud, so proud. I would do that 1,001 times again. Number one, I was earning more than 10 times what I used to earn where I was working. That's number one. Number two, don't forget, I never used to work 8 hours, like 8 hours a day. No, I worked after school. Don't forget as well that I was a full-time student, therefore I used to work after school or before school. Sometimes my work had to be done by 6 a.m. So that means I had to have arrived there way earlier than 6 a.m. And other times it was after classes from 4 maybe to 10 or whatever. And the maximum amount of hours allowed in most EU countries are as a student are about 5 hours a day or 25 hours a week. Actually, it doesn't matter how you divide those hours as long as you do not pass the 25 hours a week limit. So think about it. I was working 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I was earning more than 1,000 euros a month. So how much is that in Kenya shillings? If you calculate that comes to around 100,000. So my apartment at the time was around 250,000 euros. 250 euros. I am so sorry. No, ooh, it can't be that expensive, but it was 250 euros, I'm sorry. And that is around 25,000. And of course, I was a miser. Like, I didn't spend how much I used to spend now. If I spent now how I spent then, I would be a millionaire. You guys, I'm not even lying. But I was able to actually, most of the time, save around 500 euros a month. 400, 500 euros a month. That's around 50, half of my salary went to savings, and that went a long way. So that is how, that's like my first journey, the basics. That is where I started, and that's why I'm not really ashamed of where I started, because I had a goal. I knew for me to reach a certain point, I needed to be, number one, very independent. Number two, learn how to make and use money even before I get a career. Number three, go to school, get my papers. Number four, then get my job. By that time, I had already calculated that my Finnish skills would be absolutely good enough for me to get a job. Did it work out? That's a story for another day. You guys have an absolutely lovely weekend. I hope you enjoyed this really short story, and I cannot wait till next time. See ya!